right. Hello, everyone out in library land. My name is Brandy Young. I am one of two Central Regional Directors, and with me is the other Central Regional Director, Chris Connick. Wave hi, Chris. And we are running a little bit late because we had a couple technical difficulties, but I wanted to make sure that we started close to on time. So if you have questions, you can either type them in on the event page. We'll go ahead and type them in on the event page, and every now and then we will, I'll stop and have people answer questions. We should also have time at the very end to answer questions as well. So without further ado, oh yay, Jen got in.
Yes.
Fabulous. Sorry, Jen. Hi, Jen.
Hello.
Okay. See, Jen said she's sick, and I think she looks fabulous. So. All right. So in that case, we are going to go ahead and move on, and we will start with Suzanne. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, my dear.
Okay. I work at the Seven Hills School, which is a pre-K through 12 private school in Cincinnati. I am the school librarian for grades 6 through 12, and I also teach 6th grade writing workshops. So I get my hand in a little bit of teaching and a lot of library, which is a wonderful mix. So I'm talking to you today about forms and slides, and so I'll show you, I have 4 things that I use forms for the most. So the first one, is everybody seeing my screen? Do I have it all set up right? Yeah, okay. So one of the fastest ways to use forms is for quick feedback. I do a unit with my 6th graders on how to do something. They have to do a step-by-step approach. And I want to make sure no one does the exact same lesson. So Google Forms is wonderful to reach out to kids in a really quick and fast way. They input their information, and so what you're looking at is this very, very basic form that I asked them, 2 questions. What is it going to be about, and then how are you going to present it, and of course their name. One of the nice things about forms is you can jazz them up as much as you like. You can do different color palettes. Obviously you can change the background. You can see all sorts of different things if this decides to load. It was earlier. There we go. So you can switch it around and you can make it playful and fit to whatever the kids are working on at the moment. So that's my fast one. We also do a unit, I don't have the example to show you, but we do a unit in all our 10th and 12th graders do an English research project, and they're all researching an author. So this is another form that I would send out to them to say, what's your name and who's your author? And the reason I do that is my library associate and I can sit and look and say, oh my gosh, this is the year 10 people did Emily Bronte. We don't have enough books. Or we can just sit and sort of dissect and realize where there might be some problem areas. Another example is just general feedback. When I'm just looking to collect really simple information, we went on a trip to Indianapolis with our 6th graders. So I asked them a series of questions, rank what was your favorite thing, highest to lowest, what things would you leave out, what things would you keep. Google Forms is really fun. It lets you add in any kinds of paragraph answers, simple answers. You can have true and false, yes and no. Think about it like a free Survey Monkey. It gives you all this kinds of ability to learn some information. And one of the fun things about it is when you collect all the data and you get all your responses, you can then show pie graphs and charts to show this many people did not like going to the zoo, but this many people did. So it can be amusing for the kids to look at, but it's also easy, simple feedback for as a teacher. One other way that I use forms is for sign-ups, and this is mostly for library programs. When I know that I'm hosting something, we do an all-day reading program in December every year, and I need to have somebody read for a 10-minute slot. I have to send out this form, which easily links right on to Schoology, which is what we use with our students. They all have this link on Schoology. They can all sign up on their iPads and tell me when can you read throughout the day. And this massively long, confusing form about every single 10 minutes throughout our school day reduces itself very neatly into a spreadsheet that I can then say, okay, great, I've got 3 kids doubled up at 8:10. I'll have to choose one of them, but at least I can see that laid out very easily. The last form of the many different kinds that I use is the one that I think is probably the most complicated, but is the one that I enjoy using the most. We have a program called Book Tasters, and if you'll just bear with me, I want to just show you a picture of what I'm talking about. Our Book Tasters program allows kids to do book reviews that we paste into the books. And it's a 6th grade program. They feel really, really proud of owning a piece of the library, feeling very protective of these books. They're trying to sell these books to other kids. And it's all of this information in this picture that I collect from the form. So when I ask them for the title and the author and the genre and the description, all of that later on is going to turn into that form. And this is what I love, is that, again, I can certainly look at this just from a data standpoint, but what I end up doing is sending this. I go and look at all the responses, and I'll show you. I have this little ability to create a spreadsheet. And it plops itself down, and this is what it looks like. So I can see that my student who read Lucky Strike thinks it's a realistic book, and they said that this book would be best for kids who are reading about true friendship. And they can go on and on and on. And the spreadsheet then allows me to download it into whatever kind of file that I want. And it feels like a million years ago I learned how to mail merge, and taking an Excel file and adding it into a Word document, I'm able to create that little form that goes in the front cover of every book. That's probably the most complicated form that I'll do, is using it like this and extrapolating the data or the information and then turning it into something else. Very often I'm just looking at it in a plain spreadsheet, just trying to sort information. But that's the ability that you have with these forms, and that's what I love. So from the very, very quick to sort of much more data driven. So those are 4 examples very quickly of slides. Let me move on now to, I'm sorry, that was forms. Let me move on now to slides. Slides, if you've ever been using Keynote or PowerPoint, any of them, there's nothing more difficult about learning Google Slides. Perhaps maybe I would say PowerPoint and Keynote maybe look a little bit more polished, but that would be one complaint. But the better thing about Google Slides is that you can simultaneously edit all the time. So we are an iPad school, and all of my students will sit in my classroom, and we were learning about Charles Dickens and A Christmas Carol, and they all did a biography Prezi on Charles Dickens. And they love to share. They are desperate to share their work, and it's wonderful. But can you imagine, after about the second kid standing up telling the biography of Charles Dickens, you've said, I think we all know enough about Charles Dickens at this point. So what we've done instead is I asked the kids to pick one of their favorite slides from the Prezi that they created, and they screen captured it. So what you're looking at right here is I created this beginning slide. I sent them the link, and they were allowed to share their information with me. And then they took a screenshot of their Prezi, their favorite slide is what I asked them to find. Which one did you think was the most interesting? Then they uploaded it, they pasted it into a blank slide, wrote their name on it, and then every kid is doing this right at the same time. So within 2 to 3 to 4 minutes, I have built a slideshow of all the students' favorite works. And then I can go back, look at it real quick right before, and then I can hit present. And we can watch the slideshow, and the students can then stop at each name. They can stop and say, why did they pick this particular slide? But you can imagine how much that speeds up a classroom presentation, especially when it's on a topic like this where it would become very redundant very quickly. The students catch on to this technique really quickly. They love Google Slides. We allow the kids to use Keynote as often as they wish, or they can simply switch and use Google Slides. It doesn't make any difference. So they're learning to get very savvy with this one too. Perhaps my most favorite use of Google Slides is collaboration with colleagues. We are so fortunate in October of this year, we are going to be hosting Kwame Alexander at our school, and we are thrilled. And so we're passing the word on to all of our teachers. Our English teachers are going to help spread the word. And many of our kids have already read Crossover, and they're getting really excited about the second book that's coming out this spring. So we've put together, my library associate and we've put together this very quick and simple, it's not super sophisticated, but this is a template that I copied right out of Google Slides. This is something that they provided for me. So we're filling in all these gaps so that we can share this with our teachers. The teachers can then add to it, take what they want from it, but it works as a way to have this continually updated, very fresh. Every time there's a new webinar, every time he does a new interview, we are able to keep this up to date to the minute. We want our teachers to feel like this visit isn't imposing on them in any way, that they're as excited as the kids are, because this is not a book that they read. Any of his books are not what they read in class. So this is above and beyond, and classroom teachers have plenty to do. They don't need more in order to prep for an author visit. So that is probably my favorite feature about Google Slides, is the ability to have multiple people working on one particular project at the same time. You never have to worry about what version you're in. Did I download the right version? Is this the most up-to-date? It always is auto updating, and it's just one of those worries you never have to kind of consider after that. So I find that the Google Slides maybe don't have the snazziest backgrounds, or maybe it doesn't look quite as polished as PowerPoint and Keynote, but you are welcome to customize your own slides. They give you the ability to upload all your own images, so it does make for an awful lot of opportunities for you to use. And that, I believe, is all I have to say.
Oops. All right. Thank you, Suzanne. I'm going to click refresh on the event page real quick. I'm so jealous that you're having Kwame come. So jealous. Doesn't look like there's any questions for you just yet, so I think we'll go ahead and move on then to Laura.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am going to be talking to you a little bit more about Google Forms and just kind of Google Drive in general and how I utilize it within my school and within my library. So getting into screen share mode. Okay. Can everyone see what I'm doing here? Yes. Okay. Because I had minimized my other screen. So, okay. So the thing that I use this most often for is my Media Center sign-in. And I have 3 iPads that are stationary just for sign in and out. And then I also have a computer that students can use for sign in, sign out. And it also has my catalog and all those kinds of things. So this is what the live form looks like. And as was said in the last presentation, right now this is a winter theme, but I change it up depending on if it's a holiday or whatever. And that's all within editing your form template. So basically all that happens, I'm going to put in some stuff here, their last name, their first name, and then I've changed this so that they have to put what program they're in. I'm at a Career Tech Center, 11th and 12th grade. I guess I forgot to mention that. I'm at Trumbull Career and Technical Center, 11th and 12th grade. So what class are they coming from? What are you working on? Are you signing in and out? And then submit. And so it says your response has been recorded, and then the students know when they come in, they just have to click on submit another response, and there the sheet is again, and they're able to put in their information. Now, here's what this looks like on the editing end. So this is where I created the form originally, and I sometimes use the new Google Forms, but I'm kind of stuck with the old version, I guess. I just know it a little bit better, so shame on me for being stuck in the past, but it is what it is. So the settings that I have, first of all, I do not require students to sign in, because what that would require is every single student who comes into the Media Center, before they could ever fill out my form, they would have to be logged into their own Google account. Sometimes that's nice, and I'll show an example of when I would activate that. But for this, I don't have any of this chosen. I just leave it all as default. And then you can put in all of your own questions, and anything that you're in, you can edit into what type of question you want. So I want them to have a text answer for this, obviously, for what is your last name. This is also a text box. Here I did a drop down just because the students, oh, Miss Henning, I have to sign in. Well, yeah, but it's a matter of a drop down. I've put every single program in here. You don't even have to type your own program name in there. And I do this for two reasons. One, because the kids complain if I make them like do any work. And two, because it makes my data summary a little bit easier to view, and I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. The class that you're coming from, again, these are also a drop-down menu. These are all the teachers in the school. So, and then I included in this one, students are allowed to come to the Media Center from lunch without a pass, and so I've included that, as well as some of the other areas of the building that they might be coming from that isn't necessarily a teacher. And then I have check boxes. What are you working on? And I have this so that they can choose all that apply if need be. And then whether they're signing in or signing out. I don't have two different forms for signing in and signing out. I just use this one. And that's pretty much it as far as the editing goes. And so again, this is what the live form looks like. And then this is what the response sheet looks like. So every time you create a Google form, it also creates a Google Sheet, which is your responses. And so for this school year, this is what my Google Sheet looks like. This is the 15-16 Media Center sign-in. And I don't delineate by day or anything like that. This is ongoing from the beginning of the school year on down, and I'll show you why I do this. So as of now, and of course not every student signs in or out, I have almost 3,000 visitors. And so we can see their names, where they're coming from, what they're working on, etc. Now this is useful, of course, just to look at it this way, but one of the really cool things within Google Forms is that you're able to, under Form, click on Show Summary of Responses. And this is what that looks like. So I was saying before that I like to use the drop-down menu because of data analysis, and this is an example of why. For example, program name, I can look through here and see, is there a program that comes to the Media Center more often than others? And so 6.5%, which isn't a lot necessarily, but it might be interesting to know, are from exercise science. And then web design and app development seems to come a lot too. And then moving on, whose class are you coming from? 40%. That's kind of interesting. If you have a teacher who seems to maybe take advantage of the Media Center or send kids there an awful lot. But in this case, you'll see that the 40% is actually from lunch. So that makes sense that that would happen. And then scrolling down, what are you working on? This is especially interesting. And I didn't start doing this until, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I wish I would have done it sooner. This, as you can see from above, a lot of the students are coming from lunch. And then it makes sense then that for the most of the time, almost 30% of the time, they're there for free time. And then the other time that they're there most often is printing. We are one-to-one with iPads, but we don't have air printers. So it makes sense that they would be coming often for printing. I really, really like this because when it comes to doing my year-end reporting, it's done for me. A lot of these are exportable to different other resources that you might be using for your analytics and those kinds of things. So that's the one form I use a lot. And so going along with my year-end reporting, another one that I use a lot is at the end of each year, I do my library survey. And I haven't done it yet for the current school year, but this is what I had for last year. And so same kind of thing. What grade are you in? We have, we're at High Schools at Worksite, and all of our schools, or all of our seniors do a senior research paper, and the juniors also do one. So it's interesting to me as a librarian what their topics are so that I can make sure to have content in the library, whether it's digital or physical, that relates to the common research topics. What types of resources did you use? What online database did you use the most? Any topics you had a hard time finding information on? And then how do you prefer to read books? Again, like I said, we're one-to-one with iPads, so the use of audiobooks and digital books is especially interesting to me. And so I was surveying them on that. And then rate the library. There's a rating scale for what they think about different parts of the library. And you can tell the asterisk here means that this is required, but then it's optional, there's no asterisk, for them to provide comments. So I want everybody to answer what they think, but I don't want them to have to put comments in there. So going on down, and then I'd love your feedback, some programming questions, activities before and after school, online book club, that kind of stuff. And then we're talking about flexible learning space and makerspace kind of stuff. So at the end of last year, I asked them what they would like to see in that area. And then one of my favorite questions at the end, and I do have these required, is finish this sentence. What I like best about TCTC's Media Center is, I wish they, and if I could sum it up in one word or phrase, it would be. This is awesome for that anecdotal stuff that we are always asked to include in our annual reports. And so I've included that there to kind of get a snippet of what they say. And of course that means the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you hope, of course, that it's mostly good, and it usually tends to be. So this is the survey. I cooperate with my English teachers who ask their students to do this, and it's optional, of course, so I don't get nearly the feedback that I'd like. But this is what the form looks like on my end. Again, I don't require them to log in. I want it to be anonymous so that they will be honest with their responses. And you can see the different types of questions that I've had. Everything from rating scales to paragraph boxes to drop downs, check boxes, etc. These are so easy to do, and what's nice about once you have them done, you can drag them and move them around. You can duplicate questions, so you don't have to keep typing these same responses over and over and over. And then copy paste works really well too. You can even copy and paste from an Excel spreadsheet. And then if you just click in the first box and hit paste, it'll actually go the whole way down with however many there are. So for example, when I did the programs, I didn't type those all in. We have a list of them, and I was able just to copy that list and then paste into the first box, and it will automatically paste all of the others as well. So this is what their responses looked like in the corresponding Google Sheet that goes with that form or survey. And then again, under form, show summary of responses. This is what that looks like. So again, when it comes for my annual reporting, this really helps me, and it's done. I don't even have to put it in another format. I can just share the summary of responses with my administration and not even have to bother reformatting it. And of course, it's good for me too when it comes to collection development. So research paper titles. Sorry, I thought my dog was going to jump on my lap. Yeah, here she comes. And then moving on, what type of resource did you use the most? I can see online databases. EBSCOhost was most frequently used, and then some information about the different subjects they might have had difficulty finding information on. The book formats was interesting for me to use, a rating of fiction, nonfiction, the library's online databases, etc. And then going on to the bottom here, this was about the flexible learning space, what they wanted to have. So they really wanted comfy, movable furniture and charging stations. And I actually wrote a proposal to request some of this stuff, and it was super helpful to have the data already on hand. And then at the bottom here, please provide your comments on the library's website. What I like most about the Media Center is I wish the TCTC's Media Center had, and then if I could sum it up in one word or phrase, it would be. And so again, when it comes to anecdotals in your year-end report, this is super helpful. So those are two ways that I use Google Forms. One other thing that I do with Google Forms, it's just a little bit of Google Forms and then kind of smashing it with some other things. So I don't know if you're familiar with S'more, but it's super helpful when it comes to creating online flyers, and they're almost mini websites. You can put so many different things into them. And one thing that you can do is embed Google Forms. So I'm the chair of the literacy committee, and every month we have a literacy contest. And this is the January literacy contest, and I, again, designed this in S'more. And so I have some pictures, the prompt, the guidelines, judging criteria, etc. So the students get this, and then they type their response. And if you'll notice in here, the guidelines submit it via Drive. And this makes it so useful to me because then when students share it with me, I put it all into a folder within Drive. And you can see my breadcrumbs here as far as the organization goes. But these are the responses for January. And then I, as the chairperson, go through and read them and kind of do the filtering. And I choose the top 3 or 4. And then what I do is I create a Google form, which for January was so easy. Which entry is your favorite? Is it entry 1, 2, or 3? And then this corresponds with another SMORE page that was emailed out to staff. And so I have a link to each of those entries. So this is the first entry, or the top 3, if you will, the second and the third. And then by embedding the Google form, which they're embeddable into all kinds of things. I embed them into my website often also. Teachers would just have to pick what's your favorite, submit, and then it comes over to me with the responses. Oops, sorry about that. And then just like I could in the others, I would look at the Google Analytics, and here's my responses. And here's my summary of responses. So by looking at this, I can see that it was a tight race, but with 47.6%, entry 3 won, and then I could go back to what was entry 3 and then determine the winner that way. So I know that that was a lot in a very quick time, but I hope that some of that was helpful, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
That was excellent, Laura. Joe had more of a suggestion than a question. He noticed at his school and his school library, kids were signing in and going elsewhere or not really where they were supposed to be. So I guess they instituted a daily password. And Joe, you can correct me on the event page or in the question and answer if I'm wrong. And then the password changed. So then at the end of the form, you had to type in that password. And he said that he recognized that kids could type in whatever they wanted, but then on the sheet, it was easy to see, who typed in the wrong password. So it's like, oh, so, you weren't really where you were supposed to be. So I thought that was a unique solution.
It was. Thank you.
Fabulous. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to move on to Jen then. Take it away.
Hello? Okay. Bear with me. Flu is running rampant through my house, so I'm going to do the best I can here. Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I am going to show you PEARDECK, Planner 5D, and WeViDeo. I'm going to start with PEARDECK, which I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it. It's kind of like Kahoot, and it's a way to formatively assess your students. So I'm going to show you an example of what I did this year with my freshman orientation. Just to give you an example of what it looks like. This was, the students came in, and after I did freshman orientation and went through our website and what we have, I asked them questions to see kind of who was paying attention, if I was explaining it correctly, So one of my questions was, what number will you give? Oh, that's probably not the one I should show. Okay. Where do I go to find information on Noodle Tools? Click the category. And they had to circle on the website. PEARDECK allows you to ask paragraph text, short text, number questions, draggable slides, and the students are able to log in using a special code. So the way that you go about creating a PEARDECK, and this is a free, there's a free and a premium package. The free PEARDECK, there's just a few limitations. It doesn't let you do draggable slides or drawing slides, and it doesn't integrate with Google Classroom. My school has a paid subscription since we're a Chromebook Google Apps school. So to create a new deck, this is kind of how it works. You can either import an already existing PowerPoint or Google Slides presentation, and then make it more interactive for the students to answer questions on, or you can you can create your own slides. So to add slides, you click on the plus sign, there's a drag a dot slide, and it gives you a description of what it looks like as you go. Drag a line, draw something, draw on a picture, write text, write a number, or choose an answer like multiple choice. Or there's some non-interactive slides, or you can show students a website, so you can like import those. So if you had an existing PowerPoint presentation, you could upload it and then insert new slides into it that would make it, you know, more interactive. So if I wanted to ask my students, where is Kent, Ohio? I can add an image. This is what the projector will view. Okay, so this is what the kids will see on my projector. What they see on their screen is just this, where is Kent, Ohio? Now, if I wanted to make it so that they had to circle the part of the state that they think Kent is, or add a dot, I would go to freehand drawing. And up here is the canvas that the kids will have to draw on. So, hold on one second. If I clicked add an image, inside of Pear Deck you can do Google image search, and it tells them these are commercial reuse with modification, so that it's only going to pull up slides that you can actually use. So if I typed in map of Ohio and searched, I find like a blank template, select, and now on their screen in the student preview, they just have to circle, you know, where Kent would be.
Jen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've lost your share screen.
Oh.
We see your lovely presence.
Is that good? Let's
All
see.
better.
Okay, so they could just circle right here on the state where Kent is. So you just go through and add your slides that way. You can add YouTube videos if you have a specific link, or you can search for a video on a topic, and that will all embed into your presentation screen. So when you go to start presenting, there are 3 different views. So the session dashboard is what you as a teacher want to see. It will have your students' answers as you ask the question. There's a projector view, which is just what your slide's content is, and then there's the student view, what they will see. So if I opened up session dashboard, this is what the students will see over here. So they would have to go on their device. This can be an iPhone, tablets, laptops, you know, Chromebooks, whatever. They can use whatever for it. They go to peardeck.com/join, and then they just enter this code. So as they join, the students will populate over here. As you go through the questions, where is Kent, Ohio? See, it's waiting for responses since nobody's joining my session. As they answer, they will show up over here. So you can stop, freeze, and see if the students are getting what you're talking about. So whereas I did this as a freshman orientation, kind of like end of lesson activity, I could see this in the classrooms. It's used as teachers are presenting. They import their slides or create their slideshows right in Pear Deck, and then they stop and see if they should go on or, you know, repeat what they're doing. It also allows you to ask a question again or throw in an impromptu question, so to kind of further see what they're see what they've got. You can switch views throughout, but my recommendation is to have like your phone or a tablet or a second computer in front of you with the session dashboard and have the projector view running. If you project this, the students will all see their answers, which it's up to you. There is a setting that you could hide student responses so that the students can't see. You can also lock it. So if you think a student's going to answer and then, you know, change their mind really quickly, you when they see the other responses, you can lock it. But that is Pear Deck in like a 5-minute nutshell. There's a lot in here. When you end the session, it lets you name it. And there's something called student takeaways in the paid version. It will take all of the questions that you've asked throughout the presentation and save it for students to look at later, which is a really cool feature. Oops. Okay, Okay, I'm going to save it without takeaways. Okay, so all of your sessions will appear on the left-hand side. Oh, sessions started from this deck. So if you have this like five classes of the same course, they'll all show up here. So if you named them by period. The other thing that I wanted to show you was, let's go home. It can integrate with Google Classroom, and it can also, the takeaways, what I told you, will take away whatever the content they've talked about during the session. So that is PEARDECK. The second one I want to show you is kind of just it's a fun one we do in some of our foreign language. It allows students to design and decorate a room or a house in 2D or 3D. We just use the free app for this, but you can obviously purchase more access from it. To create a project, and I guess I should give some context on how we use this. In our foreign language classes, they have to, specifically Spanish is where we do this, they have to be able to talk about furniture vocab, decorating vocab, directionals, in front of, behind. And so students create their room using this, and then they have to describe their room to their partner using the Spanish vocab. So their partner then is using Planner 5D to design the room according to what they're saying. And then they turn around their devices around, show them what they look like, compare how different they are. And so this is, it's pretty limited for the free version. But if, you can add windows. If it has a lock on it, you don't have access to that. But you can add windows, you can add some furniture. I could play with this all day, to be honest with you. Design my ideal room. You can, if they get really ambitious, because obviously some kids will fly through this and some will not. They can decorate the outside, add another floor. But as they do this, the kids have a lot of fun with, sharing what their room looks like and designing it with this way. When you're done adding everything, you click 3D, and it lets you look inside. Oh, okay. So you can see what their 3D room would look like. So they have fun sharing that. It's just another way, instead of, they used to use just little whiteboards and draw them that way. So this was just kind of an extra fun way to do it. The last app I'm going to show you is WeVideo. WeVideo, we were a Mac district primarily. Until last year, our middle school was one-to-one with MacBooks, and then they came to the high school and had Chromebooks, and our teachers all have MacBooks. So when students stopped having access, when students stopped having access to their iMovie, we had a lot of complaints, and WeVideo is the best equivalent we found to using iMovie. We have a paid subscription, because with the free subscription you can only publish 5 minutes a month. With some students it's completely fine. Others used it for several projects, and then we found that they didn't have access to it anymore, so they would have to use our MacBook carts to finish. So it was worth getting the paid subscription for us. It works the same way as iMovie, building it. There are two ways to look at it. There's the timeline mode, which is what I have, which is what looks like more like iMovie, and then there's storyboard mode, which doesn't let you add as transitions and text as easily. So it lets you upload media from your Google Drive, Facebook, Picasa, Dropbox, whatever, and you can either drag and drop or browse to select. So if I wanted to add, an image, adds pretty easily. The one downside to this is, obviously, if kids are just going to Google Images and pulling images off, it doesn't have, like in PEARDECK, where it's limiting it to commercial use with modification. So, you know, it always allows itself to that lesson on images are copyrighted too. You can, if I pull down a picture of my library, and then I wanted to add, let's see, other pictures of, no, you can record directly in the app, and I'll let you preview your recording while you do it. So the other day I had to make a tutorial on how to access the Overdrive app through Chromebook, and so I took screenshots on a Chromebook, put them into my drive, and then downloaded them into here so that I would have the same view the students have when trying to log into Overdrive through the app. You can add the text, transitions, oops, it's saving to the server. You know, just like in iMovie, you can drag and drop everything around. You can add videos. You can lengthen the time on pictures by just, you know, clicking on the end and shrinking it. So you can record using your webcam. So there's a lot of features in here that you can use. It takes some practice. When I first saw it, I was just as frustrated as the kids because I was so used to using iMovie. But WeVideo has really been pretty successful. And the awesome part is that as an admin, I can see where the students are in their projects and who's making progress and who's not. And if they're having a hard time, like at home, trying to make a change, I can log in with them and see, you know, make some tweaks on it. So that is pretty much WeVideo. When you've finished the project, save it, and then I'll let you to export it directly to YouTube, to WeVideo. It exports to your Google Drive to be shared. So that's that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jen. There are two questions for you. One is from Mary. She wants to know, with PEARDECK, can you see if a student goes off the site where you want them to be?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer to that. That is a great question, because especially if you're using it throughout the lesson. I'll have to get back to her on that.
She posted it to the event page.
Okay.
So Mary, we will get back to you because I use PEARDECK as well, and I don't know the answer to that question either. So I'm like, oh, who knows? And then Joe had a question. He said that he used PEARDECK today for the first time, and he ran into a problem that he couldn't get Google Slides to import with active hyperlinks. Everything was static images. Are there any workarounds to that?
Well, if he was importing through PEARDECK in existing, because it imports as like oops, wrong way. It imports as a static image, just like a PDF. Let me see. If he imports extra slides in between, so I guess if, let's see, where's my PEARDECK? I'm wondering if so this is like a Google slide that I, imported. I don't want to start presenting. See, this is where the 6 coming out. Want to edit. So I would think that just adding a slide like show students a website, and then let's see. Dragging and dropping it in between. I have a mark there. What's it saying? Oh, sorry. It won't let me do Google, but if I did. go to this website and I inserted it where I'd like them to actually go, my screen will say go to this website, and then on their screen they just have to click the link. I mean, I guess that would be one workaround. I don't know.
Okay. It's a workaround. I know what he's saying, though. It would be great if the slides just imported the live links. So,
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Joe, that's something. Go ahead.
I just said hopefully in the future.
Yeah. So, Joe, if you really feel passionate about it, email PEARDECK or tweet PEARDECK, and maybe they'll work on it. All right. I don't see any more questions for Jen at this moment, so we'll go ahead and keep moving along with Jess.
All right. Hi, I'm Jessica Klinker, and I'm the media specialist at Franklin Heights High School in Columbus, Ohio. And I'm going to wrap up today with showing you a quick overview of Google Classroom and also SCREENCASTIFY. And kind of as a bonus, you'll get to see a little bit about the difference between apps and extensions. So I'm going to share my screen. Do you see it now?
No.
No? Oh, I need to click share. That would help. There. It looks like you. All right.
Yep, all good.
Okay. So first, for getting an app, because Google Classroom is an app that you can go to, we go to play.google.com/edu because we are a Google district as well. We're all of our email addresses are a Google email address, and every single student has a Google email within that system. And so our district has it locked to where we have to we're only allowed to get apps from the EDU store that are free. So when I go to that site, I can go to Chrome Apps, and then I can search for Classroom. And it will show up. Or it should. And then you can click. So when I go to that site, I can go to Chrome Apps, and then I don't know what that's doing. Anyway, and then you'll be able to see that and click on it, and then be able to click on Install. And with ours, because everybody's synced, I could even share it with particular students by typing in their email addresses, and then it would be already pushed out to those students for them. And then in terms of using Google Apps, or Google Classroom, I mean, if you, well, here, just a second. It should show up then in your app screen, or it was just a moment ago for me, or I can also click on Classroom and get to it that way. I apologize, my computer seems to be working pretty slowly. And there, because I'm logged in, it shows you all of the different classes that I'm either created myself or shared with other teachers. And for me, what I have found is valuable is I hear a lot of librarians asking about, well, how do I reach the students if the teachers aren't bringing them to the library anymore because they have Chromebooks in their room or they have these tools in their classrooms, and so the students aren't coming to the library like what they used to. And I don't have every teacher who has shared me, but some of the teachers I work with most often have shared me as a co-teacher on their classrooms. And so what I could do is I can add directly into their stream. So this is where they can post assignments, they post documents for their students, and anything you post right into the stream is you can post a question, you can post an assignment, you can post an announcement, and then when I do that, it is automatically added to the class stream so that every single student sees it every time they log in. Or if it's something like a resource, like I want to show them about our databases or something, I can post it to the About page, and then it's a static. It is there every single day for them so that they can get to, where the stream keeps pushing things down, so only the most recent appears at the top. the about is a static thing that will always be in the same place. So that's a valuable way that I've used classroom working with teachers, taking that idea of making the library embedded into the classroom instruction. So if they're not coming to me, maybe I can come to them. You can use it for things like I have a Battle of the Books team, so I just created this as I was practicing the other night, but you can create a classroom with anybody, and so this would be a good way for me to stay in contact with my Battle of the Books team, like, hey guys, check in with me, make sure you're doing your reading, and then students can post assignments, and it's easy for the teachers who are grading, so if any of you are on a fixed schedule, that is the potential. But in mine, with flexible schedule, it's not really a feature I use very often, but it is there as a capability. So just something to keep in mind if you're working with teachers and you've been struggling with how do I get them to access my resources when they're not coming to the library, consider talking to them, because probably a lot of your teachers are already using Classroom in their with their students to share things because it's fabulous. And since Classroom added the feature of being able to add co-teachers last year, that way they can share you as a teacher, and you're able to see anytime they post an assignment, it sends an alert to me. So this way I know what the classes are working on, and I can like, oh, hey, they're working on this assignment. I should make sure I share the citation tools with them again, or I should make sure I share my resources about the InfoHio databases, or whatever it happens to be. So, and then all of your classrooms show up on one easy page. So that's the very quick overview of Google Classroom. The next tool that I wanted to show you is SCREENCASTIFY. And what SCREENCASTIFY does is it allows you to make a screencast or tutorial of anything you have. And so to get an extension, this is an extension for your for Chrome. So to get an extension, I'm sorry, I went too fast. You go to your settings button, your pancake menu, in your settings, and then when you open up that, you'll have an option here for extensions. And you can go to the bottom and get more extensions, and then you'll be able to search for SCREENCASTIFY and install it to Chrome. So that's the process that you go to in order to get an extension. And then once you have the extension added, an extension adds right up here into your, right beside your address bar, so that it's available no matter what you're looking at, anytime. So if you see, as I go from tab to tab, it is always right here up in the top right-hand corner. And so then if I wanted to make a screencast, say I wanted to do a quick tutorial on how to search Chrome, I can set up my camera access, allow, get started. And then it will easily record anything that you have on your screen. And it's great a tool for being able to show students. I apologize. Stop sharing. Sorry. I forgot. I had done this all in my home. Anywho. So you can do a screencast just like you would if you had done Screencast-O-Matic is what I used to use. But this SCREENCASTIFY adds it right there to my toolbar so I can easily do anything I'm looking at right away. And I love the sharing features then, because what it does is it creates in your drive a folder for SCREENCASTIFY, and any of the videos that you've created are automatically stored there. And that gives you the easy sharing features for anybody in your community, like your other teachers and things like that. And as library media specialists, we're so often trying to show other students how to, or even other teachers, how to use tech tools or advertise something quickly, that you know, how to use a database or whatever. Or like one I just created the other day was I did a quick trailer for a training that I'm going to be doing for the teachers. And so it stores here in my drive, and I can easily share it in the same way that I would share anything else with the teachers, and it's easily accessible. So I'm trying to see if there was a way to go ahead and get, I don't want to skip this. Like I said, I apologize. I had it all good on my home computer. And then here, I don't want to have you guys watch the tutorial with me, but it is honestly a click of a button to get, to do a Screencastify. I wonder if I just click that, and then it will let me. Yeah, got it. And then I can click Start Recording. And it's recording everything that I'm saying. And I click on it again to stop the recording. And I click on it again to stop the recording. And then you have it in your drive. You can save it, whatever you want. Share it out right away, or play it again, or it will be in your Screencastify folder. Right there it is. It's loading, so that it's going to be available later. So that's Screencastify, which opens up a lot of opportunities to share and easily do PD and share out your resources to your students. So it's 5 o'clock. If you have any questions, I'll take them.
Let's see. I'm going to refresh the event page. Let's see. I guess Joe did have an answer for Mary on her question earlier about locking into a website. So I guess what Joe found out on PEARDECK is if you have students on locking into a website, what it does is it forces them to stay on that, or they're on that website on that tab, but they can easily open a new window or a new tab. So as long as your students don't know that, don't know how to do that, then you're good to go. If they do know how to do that, then obviously they can get elsewhere. Kelly has asked if Screencastify can be shared on Schoology.
We do not own Schoology, or we don't use it at my school, so I can't answer that with any certainty. But like, you can share it via an email or anything like that, because it's in your drive, so you can get like your share link and everything. So I would imagine
my school district is a Schoology district, Jessica, and you can just upload it as a link, so you can definitely put it right into Schoology, so it's not a problem.
Great.
Fabulous. And then I guess Joe, Joe was saying that he noticed that the links don't work correctly when what he meant by screen was projector screen. So I guess they're not coming up live that way for him.
Yeah.
I don't know if this helps Joe too. Oh, sorry, I cannot, Jen. But I was playing with PEARDECK too, and we are using the free version. And so that really, the free version really limits how many times you can import either a PowerPoint or Google Slides. And so when I was talking with my teachers, we were all kind of saying, you know, if you were using this on a regular basis, you would probably start making your presentation in PEARDECK, like start a presentation in Google Slides and then import it. Because first of all, you're only allowed to do that like 5 times with the free version. But secondly, all your links and everything would be live because you were creating it in the right tool. Does that make sense? That's what our workaround. Maybe they have a different idea.
Jen, anything else to add?
I don't actually. Sorry, I have a 103 temperature child in my lap.
Oh, no, that's not good. Well, I don't see any other questions popping up, either on the Q&A, on the webinar, or on the event page. Let me refresh one more time. Nope. So I want to thank all of our presenters so much. I'm inspired to go back in and do more with the tools that I wasn't using. I hope you all had a really good time, our audience. And this will be, it's being recorded, so it will be live on the event page as soon as I stop broadcasting. Anything else from our presenters? Seeing shakes of head no. Then Chris and I would like to wish everyone a great evening. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.